man. Here we are, once again, 4 years later, and obviously, in the meantime, there's been lots more to protest, but here we are. I've just been told that the latest death toll is 39 Palestinians. Israeli bombardments went on all through the night. I'm not sure how many tens or hundreds of targets made contact. I'm not sure how many homes have been destroyed. I'm not sure how many Israelis were sat with a beer on a vantage point somewhere, watching what they called fireworks in Gaza. Every firework that they see means death and destruction. None of us want to be here. We've all got better things to do. But the Palestinians need, and the Palestinians deserve, our solidarity. They resist by staying where they are when Israel demands that they leave. Well, the Palestinians are not going to leave, and we're not going to leave them behind. We have to be clear. We're outside the First Minister's residence. We're outside Alex Salmond's residence because he is doing nothing to help the Palestinians. 2 years ago, Alex Salmond suggested on Newsnight that Israel should be subject to trade sanctions. 2 weeks ago, in that big fancy house right in front of us, Alex Salmond was not talking about trade sanctions with the Israeli ambassador. They were talking about trading together. It's absolutely disgusting. It's very, very disappointing for people like me who had some kind of faith in people like Alex Salmond. Obviously, I was naive, and I'm sure that I'm not alone. It's very sad, but this is not a time to be sad. It's a time to be angry. In fact, it's not a time to be angry. It's a time to get even. We need to make sure that Israel is unable to escalate what it's doing just now into what happened 4 years ago. We need to make sure that it's not tenable for people like Salmond and for especially people like Cameron and Clegg to go on as though nothing has ever happened. To give the impression that once again Israel is retaliating for rockets being fired into Israel. You know, and I know, and Alex Salmond knows, and Cameron knows that that is complete and utter nonsense. 60 years of ethnic cleansing, 40 years plus of occupation, 6 years of a siege on Gaza. Over the last 9 months, the United Nations, before this latest escalation, the United Nations figures state that for every month of those 9 months, 7 Palestinians were killed. In that same period, 1 Israeli was killed in total. That's the reality. How many people here knew that? How many people got that information from the BBC? Not very many, I wouldn't have thought. because that's the reality every day, every week, every month, and every year for the last 60 plus has been similar or worse. It's time for Israel's impunity to end. It's time for Alex Salmond to switch sides, to switch back to the side that he used to suggest he supported. It's absolutely disgusting. Well done for coming out and showing your contempt for what Israel's doing. In a wee while, at 12:30, we'll be moving off and heading towards the Scottish Parliament. You know, things in this country, they're not perfect, but they're not that bad. If we were in Israel, if we were Israelis who opposed what our government was doing, you're really in trouble. There are some brave Israelis who do, and they really face penalties for doing so. Obviously, if you're a Palestinian in Israel, it's even worse. And let's be clear, if you're a Palestinian in Palestine, you're putting your life in their hands for protesting. In this country, it's quite easy. In this country, we have rights. We have democratic rights. And with those rights, and I don't want to sound like Tony Blair, with those rights come responsibilities. And our responsibility is to make sure that we do everything we can to remove the support, the complicity that comes from the leadership of the governments in both parts of the United Kingdom. Thank you.
cut across. Right, it's just too narrow there. We can't get everybody through with the banners. So.
Thank you.
Didn't want you going that way and find everyone else. Where have they gone?
That's the usual way.